Hey, this is Judge Stanley speaking. I see that it looks like all the parties are here. Mr. Martin and Miss Parker, are you going to be on camera?
Yes.
There's one. Mr. Martin, are you going to be on camera? We can't see you, and if you're talking, we can't hear you. Your microphone is muted.
Okay, now can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes, but I don't see you. Are you going to come on camera or not?
Yes, I am.
Okay. There you are.
There I
Okay.
am.
All right. Um, Once again, good afternoon and welcome everyone to the Office of Tax Appeals. My name is Judge Teresa Stanley, and this hearing is for the appeal of Beck. My co-panelists today are Judge Amanda Vassie and Judge Hans Famularo. The hearing is being live streamed and will be posted on the Office of Tax Appeals YouTube channel. Today we have a hearing reporter, Ms. Alonso, who is present and reporting the hearing verbatim. To ensure we have an accurate record, we ask that each person speaks one at a time and avoids speaking over one another. Also speak clearly and loudly. And just in case Ms. Alonso can't tell who's speaking, I would suggest stating your name each time you speak. And I'm going to pause for a second because I lost Judge Vassie.
Excuse me.
Okay, Judge Vassie is back. If needed, Ms. Alonso or any panel member can interject to ensure that we have proper transcription. After the hearing, Ms. Alonso will produce the official hearing transcript, which will be available on the Office of Tax Appeals website. As a reminder, the Office of Tax Appeals is not a court, but is an independent appeals body, which is staffed by subject matter experts and is independent of any tax agency, including the Franchise Tax Board. Does anyone have any questions before we go on the record in this matter?
No, no.
Seeing and hearing none. Ms. Alonso, are you ready to go on the record? Okay. So we're going on the record in appeal of Beck, OTA case number 241017642. The date is January 14, 2026, and the time is 1:14 p.m. The hearing is being held electronically with the agreement of the parties. Once again, I'm Judge Teresa Stanley. I'll be the lead for the purpose of conducting this hearing. My co-panelists, Judge Amanda Vassie and Judge Hans Famularo, and I are equal participants in deliberating and determining the outcome of this appeal. I'm going to ask the parties to identify themselves and who they represent, starting with appellant, please. Mr. Beck. You're muted, sir.
There you go. How about
There
now?
we go. There we go. Thank you.
I'm Hugh Douglas Beck, BEK. I'm the birth son of Barbara Beck. I'm the sole heir, trustee, and beneficiary of the Barbara Beck Payne Trust, my birth mother. I was born on my mother's birthday, October 17th, and this creates a lifelong super bond between a boy and his mother. October 17th would be together for our birthdays, then Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. It all blended together. My mother trained me to maintain and take care of her rental properties, and at a young
Okay.
age, I was going with her to collect rents and meet
Okay.
painters.
Mr. Beck, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're just at the preliminary stages. When we get to your presentation, you can present us with the information that you think is necessary for us to be able to decide your case.
As you can see, I'm ready.
Yeah, you are. And Mr. Martin,
Thank you.
Mr. Martin, can you introduce yourself as well?
Sure. My name is John Martin. I'm a licensed CPA for California. Been in practice for 30 plus years and pretty much ready for this
Okay.
hearing.
Okay, perfect. And Franchise Tax Board, can you please introduce yourselves?
Yes, good afternoon. This is Tristan Thalhuber, and with me is Nancy Parker on behalf of respondent.
Okay, as stated in the minutes and orders, the issue to be decided in this appeal is whether Mr. Beck's claim for refund for taxable year 2017 is barred by the statute of limitations. Mr. Martin, do you agree that that's the issue today?
Yes, I agree that that's the issue today.
And Mr. Thalhuber, do you also agree that's the issue?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, appellant submitted Exhibit 1. At the pre-hearing conference, the Franchise Tax Board did not object to the admissibility of this exhibit, and it is admitted into evidence. The Franchise Tax Board submitted Exhibits A through I, and appellant did not object to the admissibility of these exhibits, so they are also admitted into evidence. Appellant indicated during the pre-hearing conference that he will be calling himself and his CPA, Mr. Martin, to testify at today's hearing. Is that still the case, Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Okay. So before we begin appellant's presentation, I need to place you both under oath so that we can consider your statements as actual, your testimony as actual evidence. So will you both please raise your right hands? Do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do.
Okay, Mr. Martin, you can have the witnesses testify, answer specific questions, or testify in the narrative, whichever is most comfortable for you. And Mr. Beck, you requested 30 minutes for your presentation, and you may proceed when you're ready.
So we're going to let Mr. Beck go ahead and give what he wanted to say, which was the reason for the hearing. And then I will come in and add additional to that if that's okay.
Okay with me.
Okay, this is Judge Stanley. Yeah, that's fine. Mr. Beck, you can proceed when you're ready.
Okay, I think you heard this. I'm Hugh Douglas Beck. I'm the birth son of Barbara Beck. I'm the sole heir, the trustee, and the beneficiary of the Barbara Beck Trust, my birth mother. I was born on my mother's birthday, October 17th. This created a lifelong super bond between a son and her mother. October 17th was close to Thanksgiving and then Christmas. My mother goes, "Well, aren't you staying for Thanksgiving?" "Yeah, I am." "How about Christmas?" "Yeah, that too." So my mother trained me to maintain and look after her rental properties from a very young age. And I would go collect the rents with her and meet the painters and all the things that had to be done. But she always bought a house near the beach with a separate quarters for me. So if she went out of town, I would be at the house and she wouldn't have to worry about anything. And she knew I would be working, and I always did. I always got up at 6:30, worked hard every day on the rental properties, and we had a few. I met the painters, collected the rents, did everything that had to be done with the rental property. I was later in the Los Angeles Times on the front page Sunday morning, a color picture.
Mr. Beck, I'm sorry to stop
Again?
you, to interrupt you here. Yeah, but this time it's for our hearing reporter. You need to slow down a little bit for her.
Oh, to write? Oh,
it
she's
looks-
writing?
Yeah, she's recording every word that you say. So, and it looks like you might be reading something which
I have notes.
people tend to talk faster when they're reading, so just try to slow down a little bit for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where is she? What word's she on?
Where is she?
She said you can continue.
Oh, continue? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see where I am. Okay. She, meaning my mother, always bought a house near the beach, and she always bought separate quarters for me in the house. So she could go out of town knowing that I would be there working, and I did. I get up at 6:30 every day and worked hard. One of the grandkids said, Uncle Doug, he doesn't even go to work. And I said, they wouldn't last 2 days with me, getting up at 6:30, working hard, going to all these buildings and doing the things I did. So Sunday morning, I was in the Los Angeles Times, a color picture, front page, realtor on a bicycle was the story. And there were 2 pictures inside with a long story about me and how I did real estate on a bicycle at the beach. This with my mom in the house, and this meant I lived at the beach most of the time and rode a bicycle to work quite a bit, unless I needed a truck for equipment, paint, or whatever, and I had a truck. This made here's the point. This made the grandchildren very jealous and upset, because they go, oh, he doesn't go to work, like the one nephew said, which is part of the problem here. The niece married Tom Peters, and he's the niece of Emily Post, who Emily Post wrote the book on Which One's Your Salad Pork and How to Curtsy to the Queen, like we're going to need that one. But he, as the grandson, has over $200 million, and this is who the niece married. So she got him to put his money up to try to destroy me and wipe me off the planet, because they were so jealous that I rode a bike and went to work, and I worked harder than most of them, I guarantee you. So Tom Peters filed 4 lawsuits against me when my mother passed away. And the one of them was Superior Court, State of California, County of Los Angeles, case number 16STPB1383. And the other case was Superior Court, State of California, County of Los Angeles, case number BC 614508. The other 2 lawsuits they filed served everybody, and they've served people 4 times now with all these subpoenas and documents. The cases were like a New York phone book, 6-8 inches thick, and 3 days after my mother died, I got the first one, and it said, he's a terrible trustee and not good at it. And I go, well, it's only been 3 days. How bad could I be? Of course, my mother just died. I wasn't laughing then. So the 2 lawsuits he canceled. After serving everybody, he canceled them. And so now we've been served 4 times, 2 times unofficially, and just absolute harassment. And so we're down to 2 lawsuits in the 2 cases I gave you. And at this time, I was dealing with my mother's death, 2 Superior Court lawsuits in downtown Los Angeles, and the escrow of the house. So that's a lot for one person. I have no one, just me. I'm alone. I'm the sole guy, everything. No family. The only family I have is suing me. So dealing with my mom's death, the 2 lawsuits, and the escrow, it was really difficult to do it all and get it right. And I did the best any human possibly could. The judges freezed all the money, and they said, no, you can't transact money, you can't move money, you can't deal with any of the funds. So that kind of slowed me down on your end a little bit. And that's a court order from 2 judges. I'm not allowed to mess with the money, deal with it, try to get it, manipulate it, none of that. And these people are vicious that are suing me. Just unbelievable. The one grandson, every time he came to Thanksgiving, he'd go through my mother's desk and this is 10 years ago, get check stubs and try to get bank accounts so they could plan this thing where they're going to steal all the money. I mean, unbelievable stuff. So somehow the niece, with Tom Peters' money, I believe, got the escrow company to send approximately 200,000 to the franchise tax board. But there was no instructions to do that. There was no knowledge of any tax law. The girl who typed the papers and did it, and I think she's a friend of the niece. So no instructions. She doesn't know tax law or anything about it. And she certainly doesn't know me or anything about my taxes. So that money was sent without my knowledge. And maybe later on, I might have signed a paper that had to be done. But by then it was too late. That the deal was made, and I didn't want to start sending out new papers and do all the things that it was. By the time they really let me know, and nobody ever told me they were sending $200,000 off in the mail. I never heard about it. I never knew about it. So I just really didn't understand what was going on because of the lawsuit, my mom's death, and the escrow. And the girl was not qualified to send any tax money to anybody or know about it or how much, I mean, she knew nothing. So without instructions, the only way it could have been is the niece got hold of her somehow and somehow gave her some kind of gratitude, probably in the form of cash, to send the money off and to try to bleed down my escrow account so I would get less money. The lawsuits were ruthless. I can't even tell you. It's just unbelievable. Probably 6-8 years of it where they sued me and sued me and sued me. But I have been audited one time before with John Martin's company, and they sent me a letter. We found everything to be true and correct. Thank you very much for your cooperation. And that's the Franchise Tax Board from California. So I guess what I want to end up with is don't let Tom Peters and his wife drain my escrow funds and just send money off with someone that had nothing to do with it, knew nothing, had no instructions. It's just really, really difficult. And if there was a time limit situation, we had to get all the taxes, John Martin's company and I, which was really, really difficult. We had to get our taxes together from 2011 to 2019. So to file a proper tax form with you, which we do and always do, and they said I did it before, found everything to be true and correct. So we had to round up taxes from 2011 to 2019 to file the papers you needed and the tax forms that needed to be filed for you. But a person with no instructions, just sending money off out of an escrow account is probably illegal, I would think. So I'm glad you'd give your time for me, and I tried to shorten it up today as much as I could, but because of the jealousy and all through my whole, this is a lifelong jealousy. I can't tell you how sick these people are. Even one of the nephews, my son was in the hospital, and he said he went in and they came in to visit my mother. When he went back in, they had her air hose under the chair and had crimped it. So she's 93, laying in the hospital, dying, and they crimp her air hose. He went back in after they left, and the hose was under the table leg and crimped and cut. So there's no limit to what these people will do and want to do to me because of living at the beach and being in the LA Times didn't help probably. But yeah, color picture Sunday morning, pretty amazing. Realtor on a bicycle. So I was good at it. I worked hard and had things in the paper about me that maybe not a bad guy. But the nieces and nephews and Tom Peters, they tried to steal my mother's body from the hospital. They're going to cremate her and put her in their pond. They live in Bellingham, Washington, and they were going to cremate her and put her in their pond in front of their house so they could torment me for the rest of my living days. I mean, it's just unbelievable what they did and willing to do, and just going through my mom's checkbook every Thanksgiving and Christmas, and unbelievable. And to 93 dying in the hospital, that's not quick enough for them. They want to crimp the air hose, and my son went back in, caught it, and straightened it out. But bad, really, really bad people. And that's what I've had to deal with. So that's what I have to say, and I appreciate your time and all that, but don't let Tom Peters and his wife drain my escrow account and take my money and send it off with no instructions, no legal bound, no ability to know me or any tax situation. Certainly not qualified to send tax money out. I think it's rare that tax money gets sent out of escrow like that. Under what pretense? What is their mode of expertise? None. Lying and cheating. I think she was paid off and a friend of the niece. So that's where we are. And it took a while to get all the taxes together, and that's why there was a delay. And I see, John and I looked, and in your records, you have done this before where people have had a delay and you've let them do it and have paid their claims to get their money back. There's precedence of that in your tax books and previous accounts where you have paid off the loan back to the people and given the refund, is what I'm trying to say. So there is precedence. And I'll leave that up to my attorney, my CPA, John Martin. Thanks for his company and all he's done.
This is Judge Stanley speaking. I'm sorry to hear about your struggles over the years, Mr. Beck. I would like to see, before we move on to Mr. Martin, and I won't count this as your time, Mr. Beck or Mr. Martin, but Mr. Thalhuber, do you have any questions for Mr. Beck before we move on?
I do not, thank you.
Judge Bassi, do you?
I do not, thank you.
And Judge Famularo, do you have any questions for Mr. Beck?
No questions.
Okay, I just had one, Mr. Beck. I probably missed it, might have been taking notes, but what was the escrow for?
The escrow was for the sale of my dead mother's house.
Okay, and you said that you were unaware that they withheld taxes on the sale. When did you learn that had happened?
Probably near the closing when it was too late. I mean, you'd have to get a new buyer and send out new papers, and it was just impossible. So they hid it to the last minute. And I had all the lawsuits and all the paperwork, like, 6 inches thick, coming in day and night. I mean, I was nothing but legal stuff. Unbelievable. Depositions after depositions, and it never ended. 6 years of it. 6 years.
Okay, so when approximately was the closing?
Okay, that I don't know, to be honest with you.
Just approximately, even a year, month.
Maybe Mr. Martin can give us that. I'm not sure, but I have it, but not here in my papers. And I'm in a different house. I'm not in my house. I'm at Dennis's house. He's a computer guy.
Oh,
It was in 2017 is when the sale took place. And I do have the information. It's just I have to go to a different screen.
Yeah, we may lose you.
But I'll get that for you.
This is Judge Stanley speaking. That's fine. Approximately 2017 is what I was wondering, since the tax return was filed in 2024. Okay, so since there are no other questions, Mr. Martin, do you want to tack on to what Mr. Beck stated?
Sure. As you heard, Mr. Beck has gone through a tremendous amount of obstacles trying to get information to me. We had to, again, file from 2011 to 2019 in a very quick period of time. Granted that there weren't a lot of returns for the state of California, but to do a complete and accurate return, we have to make sure of all of that because he was living in Florida at the time. So I spoke with, there was a 593 form that I did eventually see in the file for the authorization to pay the $186,000 into the franchise tax board. The one thing that was wrong with that is the title of the property was in the name of his mom's trust, and they ended up putting his social security number on it. But without eventually seeing that, which was very close to the time that we filed that tax return that I was able to get from the escrow company, we're just shooting in the dark trying to figure out where all the information is and how we come up with it. Unfortunately, we came up with the fact that he knew the people at the escrow company and remembered who it was, and they were able to go back in their records and get what we wanted. Shortly thereafter, we needed more documentation and they didn't have it available any longer. So I don't know if there was a statute of limitations for their time, but they said, sorry, all of that's gone now. So that put a little bit more of a delay on everything. I did have a couple of conversations with Franchise Tax Board. I unfortunately don't have the document that shows the gentleman's name that I did, but I did talk to a gentleman at Franchise Tax Board explaining the situation, and he was urging us to get it filed as quickly as we possibly could. But he also gave me the indication that there had been cases that he had been involved with prior to that, where even after the statute of limitations, the Franchise Tax Board granted the refund to the person that was doing the filing. I did have this conversation with, I don't remember what his last name, but Tristan, when we were first talking about setting up the meetings. And he stated that, well, he gave me the inclination that they had recorded the telephone call for that particular gentleman that I was speaking to. And I don't know that he really acknowledged anything related to it other than the fact that I think he said he saw or he heard, I can't speak for him, but there wasn't anything that was really clear at my end other than, yeah, that might have happened type of thing. But I did actually speak to a Franchise Tax Board auditor for a minimum of 2 times. One time to give him an update. And the second time he was telling me we need to get it filed. But, you know, there was still this outside shot for the Franchise Tax Board accepting the return and refund, doing the refund. So I did everything I could to get the tax returns filed as quickly as I could. Only reason it took longer was because we had to catch up so many returns. And I realized that there wasn't anything that actually hit California, but I still didn't feel comfortable with preparing returns that weren't absolutely 100% complete. So that did take a little bit of extra time. So the escrow company titled the sale of the property in the name of his mom's trust, but put Doug Beck's social security number on it, which Doug, he has stacks and stacks of documentation, but he doesn't receive anything through emails. It's sometimes difficult to get a hold of him on the phone. And during this period, he had been to think it was 3 or 4 different homes that he had moved to. And so it was difficult following him in the progression because his phone number would change. And as you guys have tried to send documentation to him, he's actually sitting at his neighbor's house right now, doing all of this through Zoom because he doesn't have the ability to do it, has never learned how to do these things. So all in all, there was a tremendous amount of anxiety because Doug would be calling me on the phone crying about what his family members were doing to him, which truly distracted him from being able to get as much other information, which there were at least 4 other people that we had to go to get bits and pieces of the rental properties that he owned at the time to be able to do the rental property and the tax returns. Fortunately, that was one person, but then there was another person helping him do other things related to it. So we'd have to merge these things together to come up with as accurate of a return as we possibly could. If there was something that we could have done that would have made things faster and gotten the results sooner, we would have done it. But in this particular case, fighting 2 fronts, one fighting to find information that people have been gathering for him, and then fighting family members that are trying to throw him in jail or sue him and do all the other things. It was a crazy amount of time that it took. So I don't disagree with the findings. We're primarily doing this to ask you to, consider all of the ramifications that have gone into trying to get the returns. I mean, $186,000, if I knew that there was $186,000 at risk someplace, I would have been jumping through hoops to try and get it, but I didn't get it until late on in the situation when I was able to get the escrow settlement statement and a 593 form that came with that. But that wasn't until the 24 year when we filed the actual return. And I think that's pretty it for my explanation.
Well, that's about, Doug Beck, that's about when I got it, was when John's saying, and your last letter I got 3 days before we talked last time, but now you have my address and I'm settled in. Dennis is here and a little house in the back, so hopefully things will be better. It's been tough.
The correct way that everything should have been filed would have been going through the mom's trust return. But that didn't happen because we had to get something filed with Franchise Tax Board ASAP. But the way that it should have gone down is a different direction.
Okay, this is Judge Stanley speaking. Does that conclude your presentation today?
Yes, I think it does for my end.
And Doug Beck's end too. Thank you so very much.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thalhuber, do you have any additional questions for Mr. Martin?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Judge Famularo, do you have questions for Mr. Martin?
I do not, thanks.
Judge Bosi, do you have any questions for Mr. Martin?
I do. Mr. Martin, I just want to be clear on some of the facts here. The escrow and that tax was through the trust, but you were working on Mr. Beck's personal tax returns?
I was working on Mr. Beck's personal tax returns. The property was in his Social Security number. So
Okay, so
according
that's why.
to IRS and Franchise Tax Board, you wanted to see something. If I had known that that was a year or two earlier when I could have gotten that information, I would have filed the return as an in and out, showing no gain, no loss on it, and I would have prepared a 1041 for it instead. The results would have all been the same because there was a loss on the sale of the property after it was inherited.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I wish all of those things could have happened the right way. But with the moving, with the being able to get in contact with all of the other people that were involved in everything, it was hard to get in contact and figure out where we need to go to find the information. And like I said, had I known early on that there was 186,000, I would have ground it until I couldn't get anything out of the earth any longer. Because that's especially on a no taxable event sale. So that's why it was prepared wrong at the escrow company. It was family issues, it was moving issues, it was a whole array of things that just consumed all the time. I got it done as quickly as I could.
This is Judge Stanley speaking. Thank you, Mr. Martin. I did want to know, were you the one who also prepared federal returns, and did they
Yes.
have an issue with the statute of limitations as well?
No, because there was no gain or loss on the sale of the property. So the only issue that's up is this $186,000. It would have all been refunded to the taxpayer from the franchise tax board. Had the escrow company done what they were supposed to do properly, get an EIN number for the trust, which they could have contacted anybody that they wanted at the time, knowing that you can't put the name of a trust down and put somebody else's social security number. That just in itself is wrong. Don't get me wrong, I see it a lot. That escrow companies, all they're trying to do is punch numbers in and stuff. And I've had to go back and do corrections on people that we see, but didn't have any idea there was $186,000 because again, if you fill out the 593 form on one of the pages, it would have showed that there was a loss and there was no tax due.
Okay, this is Judge Stanley again. So the escrow company didn't withhold federal taxes, just California taxes?
Yeah, they don't withhold federal taxes.
Okay.
Only
All right.
only the state of California withholds the 3 1/3 tax.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin and Mr. Beck. We'll turn this over to the Franchise Tax Board. The Franchise Tax Board is not presenting any witnesses today. They're only arguing the case. So they will not be testifying under oath or affirmation. Mr. Thalhuber, you requested 10 minutes for your presentation, and you may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge Stanley. Again, this is Tristan Thalhuber on behalf of Respondent Franchise Tax Board. The issue in this appeal is whether the appellant has established that he filed a timely claim for refund for the 2017 tax year prior to the expiration of the statute of limitations. Unfortunately, the record will show he did not as to the barred overpayment. Appellant late filed his original 2017 tax return on June 12th, 2024, after the 4-year statute of limitations period expired. The only payment on appellant's 2017 tax year account is his withholding credit, which is deemed paid on the original due date of his 2017 tax return, and thus the 1-year statute of limitations is unavailable to allow a refund of the overpayment for the 2017 tax year. Appellant contends that the relevant real estate withholding credit resulted from a mistake by the escrow company. He also explains that several personal difficulties, including lawsuits and harassment by family members, caused him to late file his 2017 tax return. And while appellant's situation is unfortunate, such hardships do not negate his responsibility to timely file a return and will not extend the statute of limitations. There is no reasonable cause or equitable basis for suspending the statute of limitations. In its precedential opinion in the appeal of Benemy Partners, the Office of Tax Appeals held that the language of the statute of limitations is explicit and must be strictly construed. The appellant has not provided any evidence that would allow FTB by law to grant his claim for refund, and therefore FTB requests that the Office of Tax Appeals sustain its claim for refund denial for the 2017 tax year. Thank you, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Thalhuber. Judge Famularo, do you have any questions for Franchise Tax Board?
I do not.
I
And
have one
Judge,
more question.
wait, hold on one second. Judge Vasig, do you have any questions for Franchise Tax Board?
I do not.
Okay, and Mr. Martin, do you have a question that you would
Yes.
like me to present to Franchise Tax Board?
Sure. So when I had the conversation with the gentleman at the Franchise Tax Board that said that there had been cases that the Franchise Tax Board granted the refunds, that sort of sets up a precedence in this situation where he's telling me, yeah, you got to get it filed as quickly as you possibly can. And there have been cases where we've done this, but I would think that if there's been a case where that's been done, that we should be able to fall under the same types of rules that may have generated to come to that conclusion, as explained in Mr. Beck's presentation, my presentation, for a little bit of leeway on trying to get those things filed. I mean, you're talking about $186,000.
Thank you. I will ask Mr. Thalhuber, since this particular issue of a conversation with the Franchise Tax Board rep has been raised by both Mr. Beck and Mr. Martin. And Mr. Beck indicated, Mr. Thalhuber, that you had discussed it with him. Can you please let us know whether you did review that conversation and what the ramifications of it are, if any?
I reviewed the telephone records between the taxpayer and Franchise Tax Board. I am unaware of any precedent, as Mr. Martin has mentioned, as far as extending the statute of limitations for facts pertaining to this appeal. And as to your question, I have reviewed the telephone records, but I did not identify any information that would be relevant to the statute of limitations issue in this appeal.
I'm not quite sure the clarity of that. So you're saying that in
Okay,
what
wait. You want to
Sorry.
address any comments or questions to me, please, so that
I'm
the
sorry, Judge.
panel can consider them. If I need to ask Mr. Thalhuber a follow-up question, I can do that, but let me see what you have to say.
So my understanding is he's listened to a number of telephone conversations with many different agents for the Franchise Tax Board, and he didn't ever hear anything that was stated in the conversation that this particular Franchise Tax Board officer stated to me that there had been other cases. So he didn't hear anything specifically or specific to the facts that we would fall under that particular, because that would be legal advice, and Franchise Tax Board can't give legal advice through an officer, I wouldn't think. But
Believe
I'm
that.
just trying to understand, did he hear my conversation? Did he not hear my conversation?
This is Judge Stanley speaking. What Mr. Thalhuber stated was that he reviewed the call records. He didn't say he listened to any conversations, and he did not see anything in the call records that indicated that you or Mr. Beck were advised that there were exceptions to the statute of limitations. So that's what I heard him say. So he didn't see anything in those records that support your position that you were advised differently. Okay.
I got out of that the fact that he didn't see anything that particularly led to these particular circumstances that would go in that particular direction. It was the circumstances that he was looking for that would allow something like that, not just the mention that I've seen where it has been done before, where this exception has been made. And so I just wanted to clarify that he's looking for specific language compared to what I'm talking about. And I'm wondering if he heard something, but it didn't really pertain to what we're talking about here, or did he not see anything? And so like my conversation didn't exist. So one, I'm trying to get affirmation on whether my phone call existed, and two, whether it didn't pinpoint an exception such as the circumstances that we're in that led him to his conclusion.
Okay, this is Judge Stanley speaking. I'm going to leave this as is for now because I think the panel understands how the call records for the Franchise Tax Board work. And I think that we can evaluate whether or not there's any relevant impact on this case in particular.
Okay.
To the extent that anybody discusses other instances where this may or may not have happened, that is not relevant to what we're considering today.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Martin, I'm going to give you and/or Mr. Beck, if you want to have a final statement or rebuttal, you have 5 minutes and may proceed when ready.
Okay, I'd just like to thank you guys for taking this time and allowing Mr. Beck and myself to address the court regarding this particular situation. We're truly sorry that we're in this particular situation and having to use your time this way, but have truly appreciated what you guys do.
This is Judge Stanley speaking. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Mr. Beck, do you have any final thought to add?
Well, I kind of do. Yes, ma'am. With all the circumstances and a third party sending money that had no knowledge of the tax law or my taxes, or I just don't see how that can't be taken into consideration if an unqualified person goes into my account and sends the money to you unjustly and really illegally. Person typing is not allowed to do that and change the thing and send money off here and there to make her girlfriend happy. I just think that there should be consideration for that, and I would like to see the refund go through, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Judge Famularo, do you have any final questions for either party?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Judge Vassie, do you have any final questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay, today's hearing in the appeal of Beck is now concluded and we will go off the record. I want to thank you all for coming here and participating today. I know there were some technical difficulties, so I appreciate being able to see and hear you all perfectly. The panel will meet to deliberate and decide your appeal, and we will issue a written opinion within 100 days. The Office of Tax Appeals is now in recess, and the next appeal will begin at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.